welcome back. It's 7:45. Just a few clouds out over the North Shore. Otherwise, lots of sunshine this morning. The Port Moody Police Department is doing autism training, and that training was developed locally here in Vancouver by the Canucks Autism Network. I'm pleased to be joined by Chief Dave Flugel, Constable Rob DeGuy, and Hallie Mitchell. Hallie, you are from the Canucks Autism Network. Thanks all of you for joining us. First of all, I'll start off with you, Chief. Tell us about how important this training is. Yeah, well, we believe this kind of training for our frontline officers is critically important. About a year ago, I had the occasion to attend the Pacific Center for Autism, the Family Network, and I was really taken back by some of the stories from some of the parents about how they were really fearful that the police would misinterpret some of the behaviors and some of the actions of their children that are on the spectrum. And that really hit a chord with me, and it just so happened that one of our members has a son with autism, and the synergy was there right away that we needed to take this training on. We needed to deliver this to our officers so that they're better equipped. We're actually doing a lot more training around vulnerable people, victims of crime, de-escalation for people in crisis. We carry naloxone for the opioid crisis. So we're doing a lot more training that is not centered around sort of law enforcement, but more around assistance and helping our community connect with other resources, for example. Excellent. Constable, tell us about your connection, about your son, and how this you think is going to help in the future.
Well, my son was diagnosed with autism 4 years ago at the age of 3, after we noticed he was developing not so typical. He had delayed speech, delayed motor planning, and he had a lack of awareness to danger, which gave me as a police officer and a parent a unique perspective and an opportunity to support my colleagues and give them the tools to cope with this vulnerable population.
Have you run into any situations in the field in the past where you thought this training would be necessary for either of you gentlemen?
Yes, of course. So it's not daily, but it's frequent. Chief?
Yeah, we're dealing with people, lots of different, obviously, people in the community. Port Moody's a young, vibrant community with lots of young families, and, the statistics are clear. About 1 in 66 children are diagnosed with autism or on the spectrum. And it's just a matter of time before we interact, and our officers need that awareness to be able to know that these behaviors that you're experiencing, if they have that knowledge, they can actually de-escalate that and not potentially overreact, because some of the behaviors could be misinterpreted as signs of aggression or non-compliance. And we certainly want to lower the risk for any kind of use of force scenario. And could you see that, Constable, in your own experience as a misinterpretation of signals or a possible conflict or even interactions with first responders?
Yeah, if we take the time and be curious about the incident or why we're there, we're going to be able to take a step back and realize that there's something else at play here, and it could be the person's trying to cope within their own body, and they're not trying to be aggressive, they're not trying to be dismissive to us and or not responsive, but they're just managing themselves at that time, if that makes sense.
Hallie, tell us about the module, how it got developed, and how you're rolling it out.
Yeah, so as an organization, our vision has always been that every individual with autism is understood, accepted, and supported in all community spaces. So to that end, we've done training for a number of different sectors over the years, and we kept hearing repeated requests from both families in the community that we support and first responders that this kind of training was needed. So some of those first responders actually became part of the advisory committee that helped to shape and develop this module that we're talking about today, which is online, takes 1 hour to complete, and is a really helpful resource.
And the rollout, has it been effective? Are you seeing a lot of demand for it?
Yeah, since January we've had almost 700 individuals access the course from many different organizations across police, fire, search and rescue, and emergency health services.
Where do we need to go from here? I'll leave this one for you, Chief.
Sure. Well, I think we want to continue to develop our skill sets as police officers. We want to be able to provide our officers the best training, the best tools. I think we got something really special here. We have the online portion, which the officers can do sort of at their own pace and on their own time. And then what we did in Port Moody is we actually brought in Hallie and Rob, and they delivered what we called roll call training, which is basically an opportunity for the officers to ask questions. They provide scenarios, and really it's just keeping it top of mind, and it's just keep pushing ahead with new and innovative kind of scenarios and training so that our officers are the best they can be on the street for our community.
Great. Great work. Thanks so much, all of you, for coming in.
Thanks for having us.